Tell me how you learn. That's the motto of our interview series, in which people share their personal experiences, tips, and insights on learning. Yes, hello again. Today we are in Hout Bay, close to Cape Town in South Africa. I'm here with Wonga.
I am Wonga Lucas, and I am 27 years old. I come from Hout Bay in Imizamo Yethu, a township within Hout Bay. I am a facilitator. I skate, and I teach youth through skateboarding. I'm a photographer, videographer, and a documentary filmmaker.
If I would ask you, how do you learn? How would you describe the way you learn something new?
I learn, if I can describe it, I would say first step would be by observing. Simply just by observing and taking note. Wanting to be a part of the background and just being able to see. And through seeing, through observing, through taking notes, learning.
Do you have a special experience or any kind of moment where you say, wow, I've really learned something?
I do have. When I was younger, I went to very multiracial schools. And at first it was very much overwhelming coming from an environment that didn't have and wasn't multiracial. As soon as I went into multiracial schools, it was a big, overwhelming moment, but...
What was this overwhelming kind of feeling which struck you when you went to this multiracial school?
That everything's so fancy. That was the everything's so fancy, everything's so wow. There's a cafeteria, there's this, that. Yeah, it was that wow, but still very overwhelming feeling. And just taking that second and observing, taking notes.
When you learn, does the internet helps you with this? Does the internet play any kind of role with this?
Being a photographer and videographer, the internet, social media plays a huge role as you're constantly looking for more than just your environment, and you can find it. And you can be at home in Imizamo Yethu, in Hout Bay, but be speaking to people from all over because you just social media on the internet, using that as a tool.
So how do you use this tool? How do you search? How do you find the sources where what you are looking for?
Going on YouTube, Facebook, those types of just wanting to know more and see more and using those platforms.
This I understand. Now, do you use some kind of hashtags, or how do you find the content you are looking for? Is it Google search, or is it very specific stuff you're looking for?
For me, I'm looking mostly into documentaries, photography, or whatnot. So yeah, a lot of times it would be through Google and what's trending. So let's say hashtag Black Lives Matter, photographs depicting that. That was a big trend, and I think is something that still should be moving. So I would look at that.
Do you have a most favorite spot where you learn?
My most favorite sport where learning is involved, it's skateboarding at the moment. And there you constantly learn. There's a sense of being overwhelmed where, let's say you go to the park and you might be a beginner and you see people doing amazing things, you're feeling overwhelmed. Just taking notes and observing, but also learning to push yourself, to force yourself to do something. That's another way of learning. But learning to be integrated within other types of people is another way that you learn through skateboarding.
if you would have to describe an ideal, a top learning space for you, what does this learning space would require? What would you love to have at this spot?
So for me, this learning space would have to be very autistic. Would have to be a space where there's room for you to be who you are, because we all learn in different manners. We all learn in different ways. And this room would be covered in art and expressive ways, my photography, all of that. And social media, yeah. Definitely a laptop or something there, or that would be my learning space.
Wi-Fi?
And Wi-Fi, yes. Yes, especially good working Wi-Fi.
Do you have a specific time, a favorite time when you learn? Or do you say, I learn always?
I am a Black African man. I'm a Xhosa man. There's a saying, indoda ifa ifunda. Indoda ifa ifunda, which means a man dies learning, which means that you're always learning. You're always learning until the day you die. And it's a push to look for learning wherever you are. So I've always really had that feeling of try and learn in every situation, in every challenge, in every space, in every aspect. So I yearn to learn, yeah, a lot of the time.
If you think a little bit into the future, do you think that learning itself will change?
I think learning will definitely take a different face in regards to, it's going to get to a climatic point where people find the internet and use the internet, but then people are going to maybe want to regress back to different, more organic, more holistic types of learning, where we go back to learning about, not go back, but where we rediscover about ourselves as individuals, as tribes, as people and whatnot, because maybe through other types of learning, we slowly losing that knowledge of who we are in that sense.
It's a very nice thought, actually. And you are actually the first one who is bringing this onto the table. That, if you go too fast, too far with the digital, you're really going to lose the authentic human touch. So, yeah. When would you say, Wonga, that you have learned something? How would you define what is a learning success?
I would define what is a learning success in 2 steps, where you've hopefully understood something, but to the point where it's not textbook, but it's understanding very intimately. And then where that learning, you're now teaching. Those 2 things.
So that you basically have understood and can apply it for yourself in your context.
Yes.
Okay. So now comes probably a surprising question. When you think about learning, which color comes into your mind?
There's a color that's like maroon, like a bluish color, but it's not exactly blue though. It's a variation of blue, but that's becoming more blue. So it's infectious blue, like, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Where it's very light, but going on to dark.
Why do you think you come up with this changing blue color?
Much like when you drop some blue food coloring into water, that slow immersion, and that's how my understanding of learning is. It's not this fast thing, but it's that first drop that then starts to color the rest of the water.
Cool. Very nice explanation. Now another one. If you think about the animal world, from which animal would you like to learn what?
Definitely a spider.
What would you like to learn from a spider? I would run away, I can tell you this.
I would like to learn more about its web, its spider web, the properties of it, how amazing that web is. I'd like to know about that.
So now we are almost at the end. 4 little things, Wonga. I will start a sentence and you finish it, maybe with a word or 2. First thing is, learning is?
Great.
Second, this is what I really love about digital learning.
It's quick.
I wish I could learn online something about?
Life.
And your motto for learning is?
Just keep going, even if it's boring.
Thanks a lot, Longa. That was very, very interesting.
Thank you so much for having me. Yeah, thank you.
Did you like this podcast? Were you able to take something away for your own learning practices? What was particularly important for you? We look forward to read your comments, and of course we are happy if you give us a thumbs up. To make sure you don't miss a new episode, please subscribe to our channel. You can find more information about who we are and what we do in the text below. It also includes further links to the topic.